Good morning, everybody. So today we're going to have a little variety of stuff to do. Kayla's out of town and Ellie's not here, so it's just me this weekend. So instead of, going wild and, doing bachelor stuff, we're just going to work in the garage all day. Got a couple things I need to button up that we haven't in a while. So we're going to mess with the Jeep a little bit. The Jeep had a small coolant leak I noticed last week when I was driving it. You could smell the coolant just, burning off the exhaust on this thing. It was the thermostat housing was leaking a little bit, dripping down and trailing and burning off the intake or the exhaust manifold. So got a new thermostat housing, put that on, and went to take it for the test drive. Still leaking. So what I think happened was the thermostat, it doesn't have a very big recess, and I think it slipped down, and when I tightened the housing on, the thermostat was wedged in between the head and the housing and kept it from sealing. So I just resealed that again, so now we gotta put everything back together, fill this thing up, see if it's good. If it is, we'll top this thing off, we'll back it out, and then we're going to bring the super cab in. I want to do the driver's side, now has another freeze plug that's leaking. So we're going to pull it in, repeat that freeze plug process on the driver's side, and then I need to bleed all the brakes on it, and then I want to see if I can drive that thing around a little bit and give it a shakedown. It's registered, it's legal, it's good to go now. Went ahead and put this and the super cab, finally, never done it, but I got a Haggerty collector car policies on them. I was paying like $45, $50 a month for pretty basic coverage for this one and for that one every month, and through just my regular auto insurance. So $100 a month on two cars that I rarely drive is kind of a lot. So I shopped around finally, and Haggerty gave me a quote, and it was like $42, I think, a month, but for the both together. And they give you a deal if you pay it all lump sum. So for $410 for the entire year, I insured this and the super cab. So paid for insurance on it. They're both legal. They're both registered. So we need to start driving these things more and using on them. This one I've driven occasionally, just tooting around. But want to kind of go through it a little bit more, put some miles on it, got some things planned, and then super cab, I want to get that thing good enough where I can actually use it as it could be a daily driver, it won't be, but I want it to be dependable enough, because I want to, if I need to go to Home Depot for something, take that and have some fun with it. That's what it's for. So we're going to play around with them and see if we can snazz them up a little bit today. It's 9:30, so we're getting a decent jump on it. So we're going to go ahead and just try and bang that stuff out, clean the garage up a little, just have a good shop day with no distractions. So here we go. Recording this stuff, you can do different takes, and if something doesn't go right, you just edit it out. But truth is, everybody makes mistakes. Nothing is more discouraging, though, than putting something all together, filling it up with coolant that's like $13 a gallon now, and getting it back fired up, and then just immediate leakage. So hopefully this time we nipped it, put a little RTV on the gasket, and got it all sealed up. Hopefully we've got all the hoses are back in place. We've got the belt back on. So I'll top this thing off just with some water for now and fire it up and see if we're leak free. Water jug. You can see that shiny new housing there.
It's a little bit deceiving. It looks like it'd be super easy to get to, but it's actually not. It's kind of buried in there a little bit. Looks like there's some kind of fungus growing inside the radiator. That's nice. I don't think this radiator's long for this world. It's new, but I think it's a total piece of junk. That's my guess, because it looks like it's corroding in there. We did not lose a whole lot of coolant doing this. So I'm just going to top it off with water here, then we'll burp it, and we'll top it off the rest of the way with antifreeze once I know it's not leaking horribly. Because stuff's not cheap, man. I'm going to back it out. We're going to rinse it down because there's a bunch of coolant kind of spilled all over everything, and once it gets hot it's going to stink. I don't want that coolant smell to throw it off and make me think it's still leaking when it's not. Let's back it out and clean it up. Come on out. This weather's wild. It was 45 degrees this morning. Put on a sweater, one of my nice ones, so I could get it dirty and gross. I even made sure I had on my nice long pajamas. But now it's like 70 degrees out and I'm about to take this off and it's only been an hour. We're just going to wait on this thing thermostat to open up, get it to temp, burp it. And really this thing's done. There's not a whole lot to do to it today. I might wash it, clean it up. It sat outside for like a week while I was painting the super cab. So the inside's covered in pollen because everything's covered in pollen this time of year if you leave it out. And it's pretty dirty, so we'll probably wash it, clean it, detail it before we put it back in the garage so she's ready to go out for a night on the town, you know. Might take this one out on a cruise tonight. Do some video of that. We'll get a beer and some nachos. But, just gonna let it warm up. Still bone dry on that thermostat, so we're good. Just want to burp it, make sure it's all good to go. It's dry where it wasn't before. And we're just gonna let that open up. You can see a couple air bubbles coming out. That thermostat's probably just starting to open. Yeah. It had a 180 thermostat in it, which is odd because this thing was showing that it was running like 210 degrees, which it shouldn't be with a 180 in it. But I changed it out for the factory, which is a 195. Pretty clean under here. We still got our new battery. The wiring's pretty tidy on this thing. Air filter's in good shape. I do want to oh, thermostat just opened. Drop down. to top it off. I do want to change the oil in this thing because I haven't done it since I've had it, but it only had like 20 miles on the oil when I bought it. But it's like 7 months old. But she can get a little valve flattery when she gets hot, and I think the oil's looks really thin in this. So I'm thinking it's probably like 5W20 or something like that in it. Could even be synthetic because the older guy that I got it from clearly was having everything done at a shop. Alright, who's excited to change another freeze plug? Which means, well pump. Time to change another freeze plug, which means more coolant work. So we're gonna pull this thing up, get it just into the garage so we can wheel our engine hoist around. Do that same thing we did the other day. Fun. Jack it up. Unbolt those mounts. Bolts, jack it up, pull the mount out, pop that freeze plug out. I did pick up another of the 1.5 inch gasket compression style freeze plug. We're gonna pop it in there, cinch it up, add another gallon of coolant, top it off with water, same as we did before, and then we're done smelling coolant for a while, I think, and I hope. So let's give this a whirl. Let's pull this thing in here, give it a go. Let's try and cold start this thing. Because she was cold, and I've noticed this thing has a hard time feeding fuel up when it's been sitting for a while. Part of that is probably that the bowls are emptying out. Part of that is probably we need to still do some fine tuning on that timing and get it just right, but whew, check this out. I thought it was leaking coolant from up top because it was kind of damp looking, but it's slimy, sludgy oil gunk. Nothing to be overly alarmed with. This thing definitely needs to be degreased and wiped down and cleaned really well. The fuel just does a big rubber loop right here and then goes right to the metal line. So what I'll probably do is add first of all, we need to fix that distance. It's stupid. So we'll probably cut the metal line shorter somewhere right here. And then we need to put a fuel filter in and connect it. That fuel filter will also act as kind of a reservoir for us, at least I'm hoping, so that we can prime and crank this thing a little easier after it's been sitting for a couple days. And then we need to get this pesky
freeze plug. See how tight that looks. My guess is very, but I'm going to creepy crawl underneath and take a look-see. You know, wrenching is fun when it's voluntary, but when you have to fix stuff in order to drive it, less enjoyable. This truck's so much lower to the ground than like that red one. I have to jack it up to even really get underneath the twin I-beams. So we're just going to give it just a little bit of lift here, just so I can maneuver underneath. Still got to tighten that bumper up too. We got just a mess on our hands, don't we? One of the things I derive maybe an odd fascination in, or excitement in, I guess I should say, is when I guess the right size socket first go. And I got it on this one. So it is 5/8 for those 2 bolts. We're going to try and get in here with the big guns first. Make it easier to crack these loose. They are not very tight. I'll tell you that right now. Alright, now, can I get to the last remaining one up top here without harming myself? Maybe. Let's see if I can feel for it. Alright, we gotta regroup here. I can't get to it. Alright, we got it. So I had to take the oil filter out to get access, but with the oil filter gone, I was able to just get a wrench in to get like 1/8 of a turn on that bolt to crack it loose and then feed it out of the way. So that's gone. Now the mount's just floating in there, so we can go ahead and get the engine hoist, lift this thing up, pull it out, have access to that freeze plug. When we do that, I'll get you in here to show you underneath this thing and the room I was dealing with. Gonna stick it through that guy there. That way we could lift it up, get that mount out of there, find a bolt and some chain, make that happen. Got that clipped on. Used a fancy carabiner. Super heavy duty, I know, but again, we're only lifting it up a couple inches, so we'll be fine. Sure exactly how much we need. That is enough right there. Perfect. Whew, cruddy. My goodness. This little ball, nugget ball, was underneath there, which means the freeze plug must have been dripping and blowing out shit. Got our mount out, so now we should be wide open under there, and you can see. Ooh, there's our culprit, Stalactite City. So that's who we're going to be replacing. Let's crawl underneath, bust it out, get her done. There she is in all her glory. That looks disgusting. Let's try and clean that up. So let's see if we can bust him loose. Oh yeah. Instantly. All I did was touch it. Yummy. Caught most of it. So did the camera, so that's nice. My goodness, I can just stick my finger in it all the way through now. Getting that
The rest of the way out of there should be interesting. Tastes lovely. I think I got it. Yes. Yes. Victory. Now can I get the other pieces of it out of there? Alright, we need to file this down, smooth it back out. Then we need to flush it out with the hose. Then we can install our new one. All right. That's a not fun job, but we got it. It was necessary to take the oil filter off. So top tip, if you're doing a driver side motor mount on a 351M anyway, on one of these F100s, 150s, do yourself a favor, just remove the oil filter from the get. Makes life a whole lot easier to get the frontmost bolt on the side of the mount, and it makes it, you almost have to get the top one on the mount, and it also makes it a lot easier to get the room to put the one on inside the mount that goes from the mount to frame. So now that's all done, oil filter's on, got our new freeze plug on and tight. You saw that in the last video, so I'm not going to go through that whole deal. Let's just put some coolant in this thing, back it up where it's dry, check for leaks, and then move on. Because that's not a very enjoyable job. I want to get to the fun stuff. We're just going to snug down the bolts on top of this thermostat housing because it looks like possibly that was damp. And they're a little loose, so cinch those up. I checked, the hose is already nice and good and tight. So that's all we're doing under here. Let's back it out. Run it, get it up to temp, burp it, just like we did the other. Let's get this chain off here. All right. I don't even want to get in this truck the way I am. So it'll be a little tricky trying to back it out. I may take my jacket off and get in without this shirt because it's awful. And this truck's dirty inside, so that's how dirty I am. All right, you're down here in time. Open it up. So far, so good. No leak except for what I'm feeling. Got a fuel leak. Give me a fee. See that right there? Hose is cracked. Alright, that's done. That fuel leak. Leak some brakes. See if we can shimmy under there and replace that little short piece of line for the fuel. It's just gotten old and weak and cracked right there at the base of the fuel pump. So it's only like a 6-inch piece, should be easy to change. But let's see. Those clamps are coming off easy, so that's good. Oh.
can see the old hose. Now we got that nice new piece cut and sectioned in there. You see it there. Run into the pump. Got everything tightened up, so fuel system repaired. Just the little things that you see and notice as you're going through a vehicle. There's going to be a ton of them. You can't let them discourage you because they really are just part of the game. We need to tighten definitely the alternator and probably the power steering belt a little bit. They're squealing, so we might as well do that next. I need to weld this bracket back up. We got a crack in that. Yeah, you see right there? That is definitely a crack that runs halfway around that bolt. So we're gonna have to hit that with a couple tack welds. Get it to harden up just a little bit. So we'll do that too. We got a lot to address today. Water pump's good. It's not that old. You can tell it's been replaced. It's not leaking, so we're gonna leave it be. Would be nice to put a radiator shroud in this. I believe I do have one from the red and white F100. When I changed the radiator in it, the shroud didn't fit with the new fatter radiator, so I think I've got it up in the attic. I saved it because you never know. So we could try and fit that bad boy back in here if we need to, if cooling is an issue. I'm hoping it won't be, but I wouldn't be surprised if it is on this particular vehicle. It would not surprise me at all. Alright, so we got fuel line tightened up. We should add a fuel filter to this thing. I can just cut it in line in this hose right here, I suppose. Let me see if I got another fuel filter for that. So I want that guy to sit basically right here. Let's cut a little bit of this hose out. It's way too long. This line's much newer and is still plenty soft, so no issues reusing it. Alright, that ought to be good. Let's see. Check for leaks. Tell me if it leaks. So it is pulling fuel. It's pulling fuel. It's not pulling fuel super quickly. My guess is that aftermarket pumps probably not wonderful, but it is working. It's keeping up. I'm not going to mess with it yet, but that's going to be a question mark on our list of stuff to do. So that might have to be changed out. We'll see. In theory, it should really be forcing fuel up into that thing. Unless it's airlocked, I could try cracking the line, maybe. I don't know. We don't have any water leaks, so that's good. our battery cables, except for the one for the battery to block, are brand new. That one, the one I got, the replacement was too short, so I need to buy a longer one. But it seems to be working fine. What's left? We need to bleed the brakes. Really, I guess that's it for now. Then it's drivable at that point. And then we can kind of shake it down and sort out the rest, see if that fuel filter is actually going to keep up with some actual road use. Go through, and I think this carb's probably going to need to be rebuilt, but we're going to see what we can get out of it. But I'm thinking outlook not so good on that. Otherwise, we're getting close. We've got it pretty nearly ready here. So, all right, we tightened up the power steering. That was easy. Let's see, we're going to tighten up this one. What size bolt is that back there? Yeah, it's the same. So the one that's on the part that'll actually pivot is a 9/16. The one that's up top same. It is not. Of course it's different. Looks like a 5/8. Yep. So you just want to break that one just loose so it'll pivot. Then we gotta break this one loose so it will allow for our adjustment. So loose, we want to go this way. Yep. And then we need a leverage bar. We use Mr. Crowbar here. That's pretty good right there. Let's see, how's that? Yeah, that seems much better. Snug both of them back up good. Yep. Yep. Tight. That should eliminate our belt squeal. QL. I guess we can leave the underhood for now. Switch to brake bleeding mode. I won't bore you with that, so I'm just going to crawl underneath, crack each brake fitting loose, and I'm going to let these gravity bleed for a little bit since I don't have any help today. We'll start there and see what that does for us. Get some line wrenches and crack these bleeders loose and let her just trickle drip while we're cleaning the garage out here. Alright, well, we got to do a little cleanup before we continue, and I've lost half my clothes, so I need to finish cleaning up the garage so we can kind of get back to clean slate. I'm going to change, and then we'll jump back on the truck. I got some other parts to put on, so let's go ahead and jump to some time lapse here. Let's clean the garage up. Let's crack the bleeders on those brakes. We'll have a brake bleeding juice because it's my least favorite job, and then jump back on prettying up again. The day continues. figured a nice, cheap, easy way to dress up this engine compartment will be to paint my air filter cover the same color as the darker blue side body panels on the truck. Cleaning these up just a little bit. We're not trying very hard, but we'll get it kind of clean, wipe down at least, shoot them, and have them look a little bit better. Alright, let's see what we got here. Oh yeah, that came out pretty snazzy. It's a little tacky, so we're going to hold it from the inside here. Bam! Bam! Spiffy. Polished turd. Hey, starter doesn't work when it's hot. Timing is right. I confirmed, I dialed it in 3 times. Got the vacuum set about as good as I could. Carb needs to be rebuilt for sure, but it's runnable. It's just not perfect. It bobs around a little. I think the jets are a little bit clogged up. But starter, as soon as it gets up to temp, when you shut it off, it does not want to crank back up, and it is not timing related. So, guess you gotta get a starter. Well, got everything else done. Brakes are bled. Got everything put back together. Got the garage cleanish. So, really, that thing's about as squared away as it needs to be driven, except now it doesn't like to start when it's hot, which is inconvenient for a get-around vehicle. So, I guess we get another starter and change that out. But I don't feel like doing that today. Guess we gotta save some content for next week, right? So we'll back burner that. Once it cools down for about 5 minutes, it'll start again. That's just annoying, you know? But we'll leave it be for now. We'll change it out here shortly. And then doll up this interior. But Sunday afternoon, I'm pretty tired at this point. Spent all day yesterday fishing. All morning this morning, changing that freeze plug, getting the brakes bled, cleaning everything up a little bit, putting it back into shape. So, and working on the Jeep. So we're gonna clean up the rest of the stuff in the garage here, clean up myself. Then I'm gonna go on a little cruise in the Jeep. How about we'll go on a ride along in that thing, huh? Yeah, it's sitting at about, what would that be? 190, 200, but that's where it should be. Blowing all that wet right onto the windshield. That's all right. Yeah, let's run it around, see what it does. $100,798 miles in this thing, which is pretty good for a 2002 Jeep Wrangler. 2002 Jeep Wrangler, 100,798 miles. She cruises out nice and quiet, smooth. It's perfect on a nice day like today. Staying right about that 200 mark, which is pretty normal on these things, at least on the gauge, but it's not actually even that hot. So, here's the thing: when you get a cheap project truck, you're not necessarily getting a great deal. You're just getting into it at entry-level cost. The headaches, the parts you're going to put into it, all that, make it probably about the same as just buying a nicer example. But if you can't afford a nicer example, it's a good way to piecemeal yourself in. So this truck was a good deal. It was $5,000 to purchase that truck. So far, we've done the, $128 or whatever we said it was paint job. We did a little bit of not very good body work. We replaced a bunch of brake components. That was probably 200 something bucks right there. But honestly, we're less than $1,000 invested in all the parts that we've done on this truck. Well under that. So for a $6,000, we'll call it, investment, we've got a truck that looks pretty good and is in decent shape. But stuff like the starter getting heat soaked and stuff like needing, the here and there's and some interior work and all that, that's gonna happen. And it's okay, and it's still worthwhile. So we're not gonna invest a lot of money into this truck because it just isn't worth a lot, but I think it's worth putting a little bit more into. So if I were to sell this truck right now, it's probably a $7,000 vehicle is my guess, and we're about $6,000 into it. Well, Mom. So we've got about $1,000 of profit in it now. The more I put into it, it's not going to be worth a whole lot more than $7,000. So you're going to get to that diminishing gains. So we're going to finish doing like the seat covers. We're going to clean it up. We're going to do what we can with the parts we already have and for no cost. But I'm not really going to invest any more money in this thing necessarily until I decide it's going to be a full-time, stay in the stable type vehicle. So I think we can get this thing to about a $7,000-8,000 truck for probably less than $6,000, $6,500, and that's fine. If I get break even on them, I'm happy. Especially if I get to drive it, use it, have fun with it. And this truck, my goal is to be able to keep around and actually use and enjoy and drive. So we're close. We got a little bit more to do, but today I feel like having some fun. So we're gonna take the Jeep out. We're gonna go on a little ride, get some wind in our hair, and
enjoy a really nice day. We'll come back to the truck later on because that's what the projects are all about, right? You work on it when you want so that you enjoy it. You don't want to just bury yourself in it. So my advice would be, if you are working on a project and it's frustrating you like this one was earlier today, take a break. Go do something else. Work on another project. Just go, relax. Go fishing. Go get some wind in your hair. Whatever. But don't burn yourself out, because it's not the vehicle's fault that it was poorly maintained for 50 years before you got it. It's still running and it's still here. I think that says plenty on how that truck is trying to hold it together. So it's not its fault. We're not going to get frustrated with it. We're going to come back to it and get this thing circled back around here soon. But in the meantime, enjoy some nice wind in your hair Jeep footage.
Second gear. Going right along. Temp stayed right where it should be. No more coolant smell, no more drips. Taking the thermostat housing off twice to